Welcome to Arts and Humanities are Central. I'm Margie Morgan, Dean of the College of Arts and Humanities at Central Washington University, and your host for this exploration of the important role that the arts and humanities play in our everyday lives. My guests today are Mike Ervin, Professor of History and Director of Central Washington University's new Center for Latino and Latin American Studies, and sophomore students Lacey Yanez and Francisco Lopez, both of whom have completed the core course in Latino and Latin American Studies, and both are also involved in Casa Latina, the residential hall affiliated with the new center. Before we talk about your exciting work with the new Center for Latino and Latin American Studies, I wonder if each of you could tell us a little bit about your area of study. Let's start with you, Mike. What are your research interests as an historian, and what courses do you teach at Central?
As an historian, I'm a Latin American historian, and my specific field is Mexican history, modern Mexican history. So I teach core classes in Latin American history, colonial and modern Latin American history. I teach upper division classes in Mexican, Latin American revolutions, classes like that, in addition to world history and to the intro Latino and Latin American studies classes.
Great. And Lacey, have you decided on a major, and do you have career plans?
My major is secondary English education, and once I receive my teaching certificate from Central, I plan to go back to the Valley and teach perhaps in Sunnyside, my hometown, or Tri-Cities area.
Great. Francisco, you also have
yes,
decided on a major?
I'm planning on majoring in elementary education with a minor in bilingual TESOL, which is teaching English as a second language. Then after I get my degree, I plan on going back to the Lower Valley as well, because there's a growing population of ESL students where English is their second language, and I want to be able to help those students.
Great. Now, both of you came here as freshmen, right?
Correct.
What made you choose Central? Francisco?
Well, I think the location of the school itself was the main reason for me to come here. It's not that far away from school, and the education program that Central offers was also a big motivation for me to come here as well.
Lacey?
Like Francisco, I came to Central because of the teaching program and because of the location, because it's still close to home, so I can visit my family on the weekends.
And where did you come to Central from? Where's your home now?
I'm from Sunnyside.
And 5 miles from Sunnyside, Grandview, Washington.
It seems to me that the Latino population is growing dramatically in Central Washington. Is that true, Mike?
It is, and it's a principal reason for the development of the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies here at Central. We're surrounded in Kittitas County on all sides, save the west side, but north, east, and south of us, by counties that are dramatically increasing in terms of the Latino communities there. From anywhere from 1/5 to over 1/2 of some of the counties' population surrounding us are Latino. And so the idea behind the center is to reach out to serve these communities.
What is the Latino population in Kittitas County, do you know?
In Kittitas County, it's tough to tell because so much of the Latino community is actually a hidden community, an undocumented community. Upwards of, during especially the high employment seasons, you'll see upwards of a few thousand. Latino, undocumented, as well as a burgeoning now counted population in terms of the census.
I'm curious about what draws people to the Central Washington region. Lacey, can you tell me what drew your family to Central Washington?
Well, my grandparents on my dad's side were from Texas, and they came to Central Washington, Sunnyside, Washington for work, and they raised their kids there, and that also goes for my mom's side. And so we have a good support system of family in the Valley, and work has always been, we've always been able to find work in the Valley, so that's why we came here.
Francisco, your family, what made you all decide to settle in Central Washington?
I think pretty much the same reasons that Lacey's family moved here. And I think it's the same with a lot of people from the Latino population. Work is the biggest reason we're here. My mother got a call from her brother saying that there was jobs available here, and so that motivated her to come on down. And after working in the state of Oregon for like about 10 years, the plant where she was working shut down because of technology advances, and so they didn't need her anymore. And luckily, she got a job in the Central Washington area, and we're here now.
What was the job?
It was a food processing plant, and so after the machines came in, she wasn't needed anymore, but we were lucky that she got another job.
Well, given the growing Latino population, it's very exciting that we have a new Center for Latino and Latin American Studies. Micah, tell us about how this center came about and what its mission is.
The center is it's an interdisciplinary and interdivisional effort, meaning from faculty members from many different disciplines in history, anthropology, geography, and many others, including also a lot of staff members from student affairs, the Diversity Center, groups like the Bridges program that reaches out by establishing a mentoring program with students in the Gear Up districts, which is the Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness undergraduate program, which Central has a big program to try and get underrepresented students in the K through 12 system actually to think about graduating and coming to college. And so through these interdivisional and interdisciplinary alliances, faculty, staff, and students have come together to create the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies. And the mission of the center is really two-pronged. On the one hand, we want to provide an interdisciplinary academic program in Latino and Latin American Studies. And this is significant because it brings together two traditionally separate fields. Latino studies on the one hand, which is a study of and an interdisciplinary approach to the experiences of Latino communities, meaning Mexican American communities, Cuban American communities, Puerto Rican American communities, and the like. And it unites this Latino studies focus with a Latin American studies focus. That is a regional and area studies focus on everything south of the U.S.-Mexican border, essentially, from Mexico down to Chile and Argentina. And so the mission is to build this new academic program that brings these two fields together to provide a kind of unique education. It's the first program of its sort in the Pacific Northwest, and I think we're a real trailblazer in being able to offer this program here at Central. The second aspect of the center is to unite that interdisciplinary academic program with a community partnership initiative to reach out to these local Latino communities and to serve these local Latino communities. Really, ultimately, the vision I think that we have of this program is to foment a lot of elements, a lot of programs that can do both things at once. That is, be a part of community outreach and be a part of our interdisciplinary academic program to promote the center.
So there's faculty, students, and staff involved in this center. How many would you say people are involved in this
Actually,
center?
I can be exact. We have 31 actually faculty and staff alone, members of this broad central community that are involved, are active, are engaged in the conversation to build this Center for Latino and Latin American Studies, and then many student groups as well. The Chicano student group, MECHA, for example, the Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Aztlán, is a very active participant. We also have the Casa Latina program, which is our new living learning community, where we bring freshmen into the dorm rooms to live together and to learn together. So they come live in their freshman year together in the same dorm, and they take a fall quarter class together, the Intro Latino and Latin American Studies class, so that they can have this unique experience where they're taking a class together and they're living together all at once. And then we continue to have all kinds of activities throughout the year to promote the learning associated with the Latino and Latin American Studies program.
That's fascinating. So how many students are in this Casa Latina?
Well, we had, the first year was last year, fall of 2006. And actually Lacey and Francisco were the part of the inaugural group, which is about 30 students. And then this year we had a second cohort of 20 students. And so I'm hoping that we can maintain 20, 30 students. I think it's a really vital group and a great number of students to have involved in the program.
The other thing that strikes me about this, what you've just said, is that clearly it must be that both academic affairs and student affairs are closely involved in this new center. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I do think that's unique. And I think the vitality of the program, and I think the longevity of the program and the success of the program is going to be based upon the fact that we have so many individuals on campus involved in the program. It's not just a program that's the result of a couple of faculty members who have common interests. In fact, it's an energy that comes from the Diversity Center, the Diversity Education Center on campus. It comes from many different programs.
Lacey, what drew you to this program?
When I had applied for Central and I was accepted, I was a part of the College Assistant Migrant Program. And Miriam Ricchetti is the retention counselor, and she had suggested that I apply for Casa Latina. And so that's, I applied for Casa Latina, and I ended up staying in Meisner. And as a part of Casa Latina, you're required to take the Latin American Studies class. And so I took the Latin American Studies class and was really interested in it. And at the end of the year, a position had opened up for a community programmer, and that's how I got involved with Casa.
Francisco?
Well, pretty much the same way that Lacey got involved. Little differences for me. It all started with the application to the university itself. In the application process, in the application itself, there was a question asking if I wanted to be involved with an LLC, which is a living learning community, and Casa Latina was one of those. And so it seemed very interesting to me at the moment, and I checked it, and luckily I got placed in it. And Casa Latina, like Lacey said, it's one of the few LLCs that is required to take a class. And so the LAS class, Latino American Studies, was the class that was required, and that's how I started into the Latino Studies program.
So it's actually the living learning community
Yes.
concept that attracted you to the program.
Yes.
That's very interesting. Regarding the academic component of your mission, Mike, can you tell us why should students study Latino and Latin American studies? What are the advantages to studying a field such as this?
I think there are a lot of advantages and reasons to study Latino and Latin American studies. On the one hand, what I try and get my students in the classroom to think about are the connections that we have to people across the region of Latin America through our daily lives. Through a simple act of traveling, of walking to a Starbucks and purchasing a mocha coffee in the morning, I think connects us to peoples around the globe who are producing commodities like coffee, sugar, and chocolate, commodities of Latin America as elsewhere as well. I think secondly, a study of Latino and Latin America is a study of ourselves. And I think what the center makes clear is that students are surrounded on all sides in Kittitas County by a burgeoning Latino community. And this Latino community has as its origins originally a Latin American experience. And so by studying Latino and Latin American studies, we're studying ourselves. And finally, I think the possibilities for reaching out to the community and serving our community are really vital to the program. And I think students are really engaged in this process of reaching out to our community, and it serves them not only in their educational process, but in their careers as well. This service, this sense of service, and I think it's really the future of the program.
And right now there is a minor in Latino and Latin American Studies. Do you envision that eventually there might be a major in this area?
I do. I hope so. This year we really blazed a new path at Central by having an interdisciplinary hire of a new professor, Dr. Gilberto Garcia in the Political Science Department, who's now been hired full-time to teach Latino politics and studies. And so with his lead, or following his lead, I think we're adding new courses, new curriculum, and adding the possibility of turning what is a minor program, which is something you take alongside of a major, and now making it a major. That is, the ability to provide enough classes to sustain a major, I think, is definitely in our near future.
You know, it strikes me that both of you are going into education, and the classroom today is very, very much more diverse than it was, say, 30 years ago. So it occurs to me that another important reason to study an area like Latino and Latin American studies is to know more about the students that you're teaching and where their culture and where they're from. Is this something that occurs to you as you?
Yes, especially we're both going into education, and with the growing Latino population, it's important to be familiar with Latin American studies and so that you can relate to students and provide advice or anything that they may need.
Yeah, and that's another main reason I'm minoring in bilingual TESOL, because I know most of the Latino students will be coming from a family background where English is not the native language, and so by having endorsements in bilingual TESOL, I will be able to help those students succeed in their classes, in their future as well.
If you're just joining us, this is Arts and Humanities are Central. I'm Margie Morgan, and my guests today are Mike Ervin, Lacey Yanez, and Francisco Lopez. One of the things that I've always been passionate about is study abroad. The most meaningful educational experience of my life was traveling and studying abroad. And I wonder, is there a study abroad component to this Latino and Latin American Studies program?
Currently, it's not a requirement of the program, but we have had and plan to have plenty of study abroad experiences for the students. We've taken students to Mexico City, to Oaxaca City in Mexico as a part of one program. We have faculty members in biology who plan study abroad programs. We've had study abroad to South America as well. And we're very hopeful that if we can develop the major and offer enough classes, that part of the core curriculum of that program would be a required study abroad program, because there's no better way of getting a student engaged with a region, getting students engaged with a subject matter, than by having them live it firsthand. And I too think that study abroad is essential.
Couldn't agree more. Don't you have a course called Many Mexicos?
We do, a Many Mexicos class that was a geography and history class 2 years ago that we'll be taking as well an anthropology and history course this year to Oaxaca City and to the Pacific Coast, actually, a cultural and environmental history of Mexico.
Let's turn to the outreach component of your mission. What sorts of outreach activities the community has the center engaged in, and what are your plans for the future in the area of community outreach?
As I said, the outreach really is one of the two vital pillars of this program. And in the first couple of years, and we've been getting this program off the ground, we've begun to make some inroads to get to know the varied Latino communities. And I think that's the really important first point to understand, that there's not just one Latino community, but there are many communities to get to know. And so we've made some initial efforts to get out into the community to begin to serve the community through tutoring programs that have been developed with Morgan Middle School here in Ellensburg, through Day of the Dead celebrations, cultural celebrations where we've brought students from Mattawa to Central's campus and taken Central students, including Bridges mentors and other Casa Latina students actually, into the field to teach students about a Latin American celebration, cultural festival. We have developed a number of other programs with local community groups like Allied Arts in Yakima, who received a state humanities grant to put on a Latino film festival this spring that we are actually participating with them to help do. So through a number of different initiatives, I think we're trying to get out to the community to begin to serve this community and get students involved in that process.
Have you brought any community members to campus at all to engage with students and faculty? We
have, and I think what we're trying to foment really are those programs, those elements that can be a part of both the community outreach as well as the academic program. I think one of the best cases of this is our speaker series that we held last year on immigration, a crucial issue of our time. And so we were able to bring community members to Central's campus to share their experience, to share their lives, to share their expertise, to share their energy with our own community at Central. So we were able to bring a community activist, Rosalinda Guillen was her name, from Bellingham, who was a major organizer in the Northwest region of grape workers actually and others. We were able to bring Mike Gempler, a representative of the Growers League, that is business owners in the Yakima region, to share his expertise and his experience and his interpretation of the immigration debate. And so through such speaker series and other forum, I think we're able to demonstrate our desire. This is not a program that seeks to teach the public. This is a program that seeks to learn from the public and to incorporate their experiences into the experiences of the Central community.
Now, as I understand it, Casa Latina is the student vehicle for community outreach. Is that correct? Correct. And both of you got involved with Casa Latina your freshman year. You lived in the residence hall. This is your sophomore year. Now, Francisco, what is your role with Casa Latina?
Well, this year I'm a resident assistant, and I live in Meisner, where Casa Latina is housed. And so, as a resident assistant, I support the residents living in the hall, like helping them transition from life from home into the life at the university. And so I live in the hall, and I help the Casa students that live in the hall, help them with whatever support they need from their RA.
And Lacey, what's your role, Casa Latina?
I'm the community programmer for Casa Latina, so I try and develop new programs that the residents can engage in, and I also try and foster relationships between the residents and different faculty who support Casa Latina.
Mm-hmm. And what kinds of activities and programs have the students been involved in so far?
We've done a variety of programs ranging from Taco Takoyaki Night, which was a collaboration between Casa Latina and AWAP, which are Japanese exchange students. And we've also done, with the support of the Diversity Center and the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies, our residents were able to go to the Ellensburg Film Festival and view some movies there, or a film there that had to do with Haiti. And we also went to Seattle for a Day of the Dead celebration in Seattle, and that was with the help of the Bridges program. So with the help of a lot of different programs and offices here at Central, we're able to do a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm. Before we leave, I wonder, Mike, if you could tell us how the public can get involved with the center.
I think there are a lot of ways that the public can get involved with the center. First and foremost, by getting in touch, contacting us, and there are many ways you can get in touch with us. Check out our website, see what is happening with the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies. Get in touch with me personally if you have any ideas about ways that we can reach out to the community and help the community. I think we're in such an initial stage right now that any ideas that people have about participating, about programming, things like that, things that they would like to see happen. And I take very seriously this role, this idea of the center as a public think tank. And the idea is that the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies is a politically neutral space where anybody interested in a study of Latino and Latin American subjects and realities can come together in a conversation. And I think breaking down these boundaries between Latino studies and Latin American studies, between realities within the borders of the United States and outside the borders of the United States, is crucial if we're going to have any future positive policy conversations that are related to these topics. I think the debates regarding immigration and the like, I think can really be served by regional universities like Central Washington University, getting engaged in conversations, serving our local communities, and learning from these communities in order to create better policy, better futures, and a much more enlightening, enlivening, and fruitful experience for our students, our staff, and our community members.
Well, it sounds like the center has a very promising future. Mike, Lacey, Francisco, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for tuning in to Arts and Humanities are Central.